After 10 rounds, we've reached the playoffs of the FOSROC Super6, and I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Paterson to discuss some of the moments that have mattered this season. Chris, thanks for coming along. It's great to see you this time in person.
I know, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Before we move on and talk about the playoffs and all that kind of stuff, I wanted just to kind of pick your brains on the competition so far and what you've made of the whole tournament.
I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. I've really enjoyed the importance it's been given. I've enjoyed the window it's been in. You think back to getting rugby back after the last 18 months, 2 years, it was brilliant. And for that to be FOSROC Super6 Rugby, I think was excellent. We've got some quality games. If you look at the 10-game season so far, I think it's been a physical league. It's produced player improvement. It's been great for coach development. It's great for match officials. They've had to make really tight decisions under pressure with a consequence in terms of the number of games being so close. I think there's almost 45% of games, I think, finish within one score. I think if you expand it out to two scores, it's 63-64% of games. So they've been tight. And in those tight games, the decisions match officials make, the decisions coaches make, and the skill execution and decisions the players make have all been under pressure, which I think is a great thing for developing individuals and developing teams. And on top of that, I think there's been some fantastic rugby. I say loads of close games, games won at the death, we've had drawn games, we've had underdogs winning, we've had changes at the top of the league, we've had teams going on a journey. So all in all, a pretty successful last 6 weeks or 10 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the changes this season was the fact that the season started early and it was summer rugby. How much do you think that made a difference to the players and the coaches and that kind of stuff?
I've really enjoyed it. I think the climate, the weather made a big difference. A lot of those games, not all, but a lot of the games were played in really good weather. Fast tracks, hard grounds, dry ball. There's an element of heat to get. I mean, we were at the opening weekend in Ayr and pretty much almost got sunburnt sitting commentating. It was like, this is different for rugby. But I think the period prior to that, where the players got together and trained and had the pre-season in better weather, was important as well. They also built up this real desire to play again. That you know, the players have been starved of action for so long, like everybody else, all levels of the game. I think just produced this moment of just desperation to get rugby back, and I liked that window it fell in. You know, say the final weekend this weekend, and the weather's still reasonable, and it definitely has an effect on player skill level. Now, if the players are playing in the FOSROC Super6 want to progress, you've got to play in all types of weather, but we've seen that as well. We've seen Millbrae 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago was a fairly wet night. We had wet night earlier on in the season. So it's not all been dry ball. There's been you know, different conditions to play in, but I do like that window that the competition's been played in, and I think it's been a success.
Definitely, and looking ahead to the playoffs then, and no better place to start than the final, Southern Knights against the Ayrshire Bulls. In terms of Southern Knights, they've kind of been the front runners from the start of the competition, probably the most consistent team, you'd say.
Yeah, really work hard as a unit, work hard for each other, clear direction from Bob Christie, the coach, as to, you know, how they want to play, what they want to be seen as, what they represent. There's a real hard edge to them, difficult to be at home. We could see that right away. You knew that a team would have to play really well and more than that really, to win at home. Think back to a couple of games, the Boroughmuir game down at the Green Yards, where Boroughmuir were the better side, but Southern Knights still found a way to win, and they did that time and time again. So opening weekend was a draw away at Stirling, and they've had 2 defeats away from home, one against Ayr, one against Watsonians. So they've been winning consistently, and they've been winning in different ways. So real quality side that will be hard to break down.
Yeah, and in terms of Ayr, it very much was, they didn't start the best at the start of the season, but then they really did. They had that bit in the middle where they really focused and they went on a run of games. I think they won 5 in a row.
I kind of mentioned the word journey when we spoke earlier on, or just at the start of this, and that had Ayr in my mind when they said the journey, because I think they started pretty well, but weren't quite accurate enough. So a couple of the opening games, they played some really nice stuff, but they didn't win the first one, they won the second weekend, but didn't look as if they were just clicking, there wasn't that cohesion. And they went away from that almost back to a more direct game that has given Ayr a lot of success as a club side over recent years. But then they had to develop further, and the moment for me, the line in the sand moment, was their defeat to Stirling at Bridge Hall the last minute, where I think Matt Davidson scored and then Craig Robertson kicked the goal for Stirling And at that point, week 4, 5 perhaps, maybe week 5, it was almost Ayr had to say to themselves, Ayrshire Bulls had to say, listen, if we don't go on a run, we ain't getting to the final. So as early as that, and that's what it's on about, having been under pressure, making hard decisions and being exposed to to consequence, they had to make a stand and go on a win and run, or they wouldn't have been near the final. And they did exactly that. And they did it by, being clear in what they were trying to do, but also developing their game. And they've got an all-round attack, big up front, some quality back. So they're a well-balanced team, certainly on the rise as they build towards the final.
So I was going to put you on the spot. Predictions for this weekend. Who are you backing?
I think Heriot win the first one. Because when they've been good, they've been very good, and if the mindset's on, they might have too much depth. And when they had to ramp the power up last week to get the victory, the couple of driving maul tries, big scrum, probably the bulk's going to perhaps get them over the line, but Borough play, don't they? So you never know what's going to happen there. I think Watsonians found some form again last week, and I think they'll again probably have a little bit too much power or dynamism and probably come at the top for the second game. And then the FOSROC Super6 final here Sunday in Damhill Stadium. I think I'll say Southern Knights.
Southern Knights, okay. Chris is saying Southern Knights. I'm not going to make a prediction on that, but it's sure to be a cracking game. Thanks a lot, Chris, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.